about your past.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where do you think they got it from?
Yeah. Well, this was some private investigator, just some voice on the phone. He got it from my confessional folders, which I had told to my Scientology so-called minister about 15 years before that. That's the only person I ever told about that.
This 1972 directive that the FBI seized is a frank statement of one of Hubbard's aims. Item A, make money. Down the list, item J also reads, make money. Item K, make more money. And item L, make other people produce so as to make money. The place where the Church of Scientology offers its higher level courses, and therefore takes the most money, is here in Clearwater, Florida. This headquarters they call Flag, where Scientologists from all over the world come to buy the so-called upper levels. The converted hotel is where Hubbard's elite Sea Org came ashore. The functionaries are as likely to be dressed as naval officers as priests. Scientologists usually join the staff if they cannot afford the fees to take the courses for free. But despite their snappy uniforms, most are paid very meagre wages. Here the staff administers the esoteric programs of auditing that Hubbard went on writing right up to his death. And it's a highly profitable activity. Scientologists have to go up the bridge. That is, take a series of courses, each more expensive than the last. The midpoint is called clear. After that, you progress through the upper levels that can cost up to £600 an hour. How do you think Hubbard succeeded in getting so many thousands of people to take his courses and to go on taking extra courses and spending more and more money?
First one's free, second one costs you. It's like an extended sting operation. At first you get lots more than you ever thought that you were going to get, and real changes take place in your life. But as you go up the so-called bridge, you no longer get the benefits, and then you're told it's because of things that you've done in your past, wrongs that you've committed against mankind. And of course, you have to sign up for more auditing to find those things and handle them.
The upper level courses are called OT, which stands for Operating Thetan, Hubbard's word for the spirit. The OT levels are supposedly so powerful that you can die of pneumonia if you're exposed to them unprepared. It costs around £5,000 to take OT3, which contains Hubbard's cosmology. The Church has tried to keep this material secret, but former senior Scientologists in America have leaked it, and versions have been published. This is an outline of the story.
75 million years ago, this planet was called Tigyac. There were 90 planets in this sector called the Galactic Confederation.
This is part of the text of a Hubbard lecture.
They had elected a fellow by the name of Zemu to the supreme ruler, and they were about to unelect him. And he took the last moments he had in office to really goof the floof. Zemu decided to take radical measures to overcome the population problem. Beings were captured on other planets and flown to locations near 10 volcanoes or more on Earth. H-bombs were dropped on the volcanoes, destroying the bodies of the beings who, as Thetans, attached themselves to one another as clusters. A revolt followed of the loyal officers against Zemu. Zemu was locked up in an electronic mountain fortress and remains there still. Since that time, beings born on this planet have had clusters of Thetans attached to their bodies. OT3 can run out these clusters and cause them to leave us and reincarnate as individuals.
After hours of expensive auditing, you are rid of the body Thetans attached to you. You may then acquire psychic powers, move objects at a distance, and have out-of-body experiences. If you find you can't, then you must take the course again, for another £5,000. Ex-Scientologist Frank Notaro used the name Xenu in a demonstration outside a church building and got beaten up. Why is it so secret?
Because Ron says that if people find out about this information, that they will get sick and die if they find out this information without paying the money.
Well, did anybody who read your T-shirt get sick or die?
The only person who got sick was me because I got beat up. Stun gun. So, well, I just want people to find out about what's been going on and what the church is really all about.
L. Ron Hubbard and the church he founded spent money extravagantly, buying expensive properties on a whim. He built this Folly, a landlocked clipper ship, at the film studio he bought in the California desert. Here he directed films about Scientology. Hubbard died at a remote but magnificent ranch he bought further up the coast. Many ordinary Scientologists knew nothing of all this.
They were told that this money was going for charitable purposes to help and benefit mankind. And the money was being used for illegal and criminal activities, to hire people to go through their confidential files and send people out to harass. And they would not have paid such very high fees if they had known the money was being used for this. They were being lied to, not so much about the gains and promises of the techniques, which is not an issue here, but the use the money was being put to and the purposes of the organization.
What Your Fees Buy was issued in the 70s. Hubbard claimed he was as badly paid as any staff member and categorically stated, "The fees you pay do not go to me." But a succession of Hubbard's former staffers have testified that this was untrue. For example, one of his youthful messengers, Doreen Gillam, used to manage his finances. She was sent to demand $600,000 in cash.
I got it from Sea Org Reserves, which is church money, and I red flagged on that because Hubbard usually didn't, at that point, like to obtain church funds directly. So, but I justified it thinking, well, if it's for renovations, he's probably buying another property for us. We had already purchased 2 huge properties in 4 years. Why not another?
But you were taking money from church funds,
Yes, sir.
for Hubbard's personal use.
Yes, sir.
In recent American court cases, former Hubbard aides have sworn that he put money into personal accounts through a shell company called the Religious Research Foundation, which was registered in Liberia. Money brought by Scientologists to the headquarters at Clearwater, Florida, was paid straight into the RRF's account in Toronto, Canada. From there, it was transferred to secret accounts in Luxembourg and Liechtenstein, which Hubbard dipped into whenever he needed cash. His aides have testified that the accounts contained over $200 million. What made you leave the church?
The fact that I had gone all around the world in various organizations and I knew that monies were being used not for the benefit of mankind or the parishioners of the church, but for the benefit of Ron Hubbard and his minions.
Scientology in America has a complex web of overlapping companies, which make it difficult for the tax authorities to find out where all the money goes. The church's ex-members say that in reality there's just one corporation. And, they say, the outfit that finally controls the assets and money of the non-profit Church of Scientology is the for-profit company Author Services Incorporated. This senior ex-Scientologist had close knowledge of Author Services Incorporated, or ASI. So what is the fundamental purpose of ASI?
The fundamental purpose of it is to acquire large amounts of money, gross income, as they refer to it, for L. Ron Hubbard's private accounts.
And where does that money come from?
It comes from the churches and the missions of Scientology, and it comes from the public at large.
And the churches and the missions are supposedly non-profit organizations. Is ASI a non-profit organization?
No, ASI is specifically a profit-making corporation.
And it was, in fact, Hubbard's private fortune.
Yes, I suppose it is. Yes, that's true.
So what has happened to Hubbard's fortune? Only a small and secretive group of his followers knows the real answer, and they aren't saying. But we do know that in the church hierarchy, they've come out on top. Those who appear to have the power in Scientology today are Norman Starkey, a South African whom Hubbard appointed trustee of his estate, David Miscavige, still in his 20s, who ran Author Services Incorporated, Annie Broker, it was she and her third husband, Pat Broker, who looked after Hubbard in his final hideout. Of these, David Miscavige is believed to be the most powerful figure.
He's a macho guy, he does bow and arrow practice shooting rifles, he does karate. He's a very macho 1950s. He's a tough guy. He will keep power till his last gasping breath. So that's David Miscavige in a nutshell.
L. Ron Hubbard spent years avoiding writ servers, and his heirs are doing the same, usually staying out of sight. The church's front man is Heber Jench, its international president. Jench is a former actor who had a bit part in Paint Your Wagon. He has the enthusiasm of a fundamentalist preacher. Although Scientology makes millions of dollars, it is still run by fanatical believers. How much is this church worth, Mr. Jench? You have been quoted as giving it a value of $1 billion in a recent interview. Is that a correct figure?
Is that all?
How much is it worth?
I would say that my church is worth an inestimable amount that would run into the trillions and trillions of dollars.
I'm talking about its real estate, its money, its assets.
I'm talking about its spiritual assets, which are far greater than any kind of asset that I could possibly put a monetary figure on.
I'm sure that's the case, but what is